Where, oh where will Patrick Mahomes land on this week's edition of Chris Broussard's Under Duress list? He's on there somewhere.
If he's on it, I quit. Well, then I quit.
No, you won't.
Good luck.
James Harden could become a free agent for the first time this summer. Could the Nets deal him before then? And what would that mean for their title hopes?
What?
And the Niners knocking on the Super Bowl door for the second time in 3 years. With that, we say good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, Chris Broussard, Nick Wright, Kevin Wildes. Nick, does Jimmy G need to play hero ball to upset the Rams?
Hero ball? No. He just needs to play non-self-destructive ball. How about you worry less about being a hero and worry a little more about ruining your own team's chances? That's what he needs to worry about, Jenna.
Win, no matter what.
Okay, that's...
All right,
that's
we'll get to
DJ.
that. We got to start with this.
It's just
We
true,
start
Nick.
with
It's
Bengals
just-
Chiefs. Burrow Mahomes, offense versus offense. That's what we saw in Week 17 since he beat KC 34-31. Nick took the loss really well. So what is the recipe to pull off the upset on Sunday? Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo has an idea. Make him kick field goals, he said yesterday. That's one way. Or just score 1,000 points. That's another. Burrow has it in him, too, in that Week 17 game.
Let's go.
He outshined Mahomes, throwing for 446 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, Nick, you believe Burrow can actually go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes this weekend?
Oh, no, of course not. But I am glad it only took 72 hours for us to be right back here. Could this quarterback be as good as Mahomes? No. Actually, the answer is no. What about you? I didn't even tell you who the quarterback is. Doesn't matter. Any quarterback in it? No, they actually can't. Here's the thing. No. How many points Bengals need to score this weekend to win? 40? Because that would have gotten them losses in the previous 2 Chiefs playoff games. So what do they got to go, 45? Chiefs can go 45. I've seen the Chiefs go 54 in the postseason. I saw the Bengals last week score 1 touchdown. 1 touchdown. And there is going to be something of a culture shock similar to the one the Bills faced. Remember, Broussard? So I dropped so many gems throughout the week. Sometimes you forget them, and I have to remind you. But hard. I told you the Bills, #1 pass defense, #1 scoring defense, #1 yards defense, #1 DVOA, that whole defense that just got cut to pieces by Patrick Mahomes. Wasn't ready for the upgrade in quarterbacking they were about to have to deal with. Well, what about the Bengals that have gone from Derek Carr to Derek Carr's older uncle, Ryan Tannehill, to now Patrick Mahomes? So, yeah, I don't think Joe Burrow can go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. That is not an insult to Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow. I like his style. I like his swag. I like his confidence. It'll be somewhat shattered this weekend when he gets, beat by a couple touchdowns. But Broussard, no. He can't go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes because nobody can.
Look, man, it was one thing for you to dismiss the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger. But you're just completely dismissing Joe Burrow? No, it's not an insult to him. It's just a historical. Because I'm old enough to remember, to use one of your favorite lines.
Here we go.
Just earlier this month, he not only went toe-to-toe with Mahomes, he outplayed him. All right, so, Nick, look, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. You're right about that. But to act like for one game, Joe Burrow couldn't outplay him, go toe-to-toe with him at the very least, that's just off. Josh Allen outplayed him last week until 13 seconds were left in the game. Joe Burrow can most definitely hang with Patrick Mahomes in this game. And the key is this. Burrow needs time to throw the football. We saw last week they tied a playoff record, letting him get sacked 9 times against Tennessee. But here's the thing, Nick, and you know this. Your boys in Kansas City don't have a great pass rush. All right, 4th from the bottom, the 4th worst in the league in total sacks this year. So if they don't get to Burrow and give him time to throw, he could do damage. We know he's got arguably the best receiving core in the league. And I think Kansas City secondary, I know, they're suspect. All right, we've seen it time and time again. And the Honey Badger, I think he's going to play, Tyrann Mathieu.
He's going to play.
But right now, he's questionable with the concussion. I'm sure he'll play, but he's questionable right now. If they have to rely on your boy Daniel Sorensen, Nick, you know what that means.
They did last
So
week.
I am picking the Chiefs.
They'll win.
I'm picking the Chiefs.
It means they'll win.
I'm picking the Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
But in a barn burner, Nick, an absolute barn burner. I think we won't have the drama wilds that we had a week ago. Okay, I'm not predicting that. But I do think we're going to have a shootout that the Chiefs are going to be, pressured to win. Nice. They're going to have trouble winning, but they do pull it out.
Okay. I think that's a very fair take, and I appreciate your honesty. The one thing that we value on this show, honesty. And I don't think there's anything wrong if the Bengals said, you know what we need to do? Score 40 points, because that's the only way we're going to beat Patrick Mahomes. The idea that the defensive coordinator is to get on there and say, you know what? Got to hold them to field goals. It's not happening, guys. It's not happening. If you want to beat Patrick Mahomes, he's got 15 career losses. You can look at the graphic. 15 career losses. The opponent's points per game, 34.8. Only 3 teams have beaten Mahomes scoring less than 30. So take your holding to field goals and throw it out the window. But Nick, admit just a little bit, just for the sake of the show, for the sake of some nuance in sports television, admit, you know some what? Honesty. I'm a little bit nervous that our defense, which was terrible, then got really good, seems like they're terrible again. Joe Burrow carved them up. Josh Allen carved them up. In games since week 15, they're averaging 30.5 points to opponents if you take out the Steelers games. You own Big Ben.
If you take out the 2 games, they played good defense. I love that. Hey, here's a sample size of the last 6 weeks.
Take out the Steelers.
Hey, here's a sample size that started a month ago.
You know what?
Take out the 2 games they were really good. They've been bad. I love those stats. Hey, guys, we're going to do something from December 10th to now, and we're going to take out the 2 things of the 5-event sample that can stop it. Stop it. Guys, listen, Wilds.
Nick,
listen, you don't have to.
Yes.
There's a lot of stats you go with. You didn't have to go with that one. That's a bad one. You want to see some good stats?
That's Dusty's,
Here's
not
some
mine.
good stats. Patrick Mahomes at home, career in the postseason, best in NFL history. Those are career ranks, all-time ranks, best in NFL history. You want to see a more important stat? How's Patrick Mahomes been playing? Oh, I don't know. Not after week 12 on midday games against divisional opponents, just since week 9.
He's really good.
When. The throw heard around the world. He's playing like peak Patrick Mahomes. Here's the there it is. The moment that changed NFL history forever. If only you guys worked with someone so pressing it to know it, to see it. Well, did change NFL history. Without this throw, maybe Josh Allen's about to win the Super Bowl. Without this throw, maybe there's questions. Instead, because of this throw, the Chiefs' dynasty back on track. Here's the problem, Wilds. Because the Chiefs, are on pace to be the highest scoring postseason team ever. And it's a trend they actually started well before the postseason began. If I can tell you, leading into the postseason, they scored 48, 34, 36, 31, 28 in the final game of the year, and then 42, 42. So here's the issue. And everybody knows what the issue is. The league screwed up. And the league screwed up in this regard. They showed Mahomes the test too early. AFC defensive coordinator should have had a call and not included Steve Spagnuolo. And they should have said, guys, the only hope we have is if we can throw something new at Mahomes right around the time of the playoffs. Instead, these guys got all too eager. They're like, no, we got to do it this week. We got to do it right now. And all of a sudden, the one thing that has ever slowed down Mahomes, he solved in week 9. He solved 2 months ago. You have no cards left to play. You played your big joker and it got trumped by a bigger joker. So yeah, Cincinnati, you go score 45. Yeah. That's probably enough to cover the 7. Because I think the Chiefs got a 50 ball in them. They haven't done it yet this postseason, but the Bengals beat them last time. There's some questionable officiating. Yep. I'm very upset about. Oh, you're rolling your eyes.
Stop.
They couldn't have scored 50 against. They could. Oh, ask Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow credited the officials before he credited his mother. He did. He mentioned it 3 times. Before the cock crowed, he mentioned it 3 times. It's a callback for you, Broussard. Listen, guys, they've got a 50 burger in them. So if the Bengals want to cover the 7, they need to get to the 40s. We'll see if they can. But you can't go toe-to-toe with Mahomes. There's no toes.
All right, so let's make sure Jamar Chase doesn't have 300 yards by himself. He had 266.
Thank you.
So worry about him a little bit. A little bit.
No, not worried about him at all.
266.
By the way, Joe Burrow, guys,
12
completions of 50-plus yards this season. That's most by a quarterback in the last 30 years. So who knows? He might have something in him this weekend. Talk some basketball. Could the Nets really trade Harden before the deadline? What would it mean for their title hopes? We head to Brooklyn next. First things first. February 6th, this storied venue that has seen everything has never seen anything like this. NASCAR coming to the Los Angeles Coliseum for the very first Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum. Sunday, February 6th, only on Fox.
Let's go.
All right, let's talk Brooklyn's James Harden now, because he might not be with Brooklyn much longer. Rumor is he wants to test out free agency this summer. Reportedly unhappy with Kyrie's part-time status, with Steve Nash's coaching style, and with living in Brooklyn. Well, excuse me, says the second best borough in New York. But a new report out yesterday says the Nets are unwilling to listen to any trade offers at the deadline, thinking, hey, they can keep the big 3 together moving forward. Nick, are the Nets making a mistake not even listening to offers for Harden?
I believe they are, and I think they are being somewhat delusional here. There's a scene in the first season of Twitter's favorite television show, Succession, where character Tom, his spoiler alert for season 1, his wife is cheating on him, and cousin Greg wants to tell him about it.
Great.
And cousin Greg runs up to him to tell him, and Tom literally starts saying, no, 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 and runs in the other direction. Literally, the guy's trying to give him important information. He's like, if I don't hear it, it's not real. The Nets are trying to do that with James Harden's future. If we pretend he's happy, if we pretend we have any indication whatsoever that he's going to stay, maybe he'll stay. I vehemently believe, Broussard, this will be James Harden's last year with the Nets. I think all indications say as much. Because of that reason, they would be being utterly foolish to not at least find out what they could get back for James Harden right now. Now, even if he leaves because of the cap situation around the league, it'll probably be via sign and trade, and they'll get something back in the offseason either way. But it would stand to reason you get a little more back right now because the team would get him for an extra playoff push. You don't think Philly right now would trade you what they were going to trade Houston for James Harden? I do. You don't think that you don't want to at least call Portland and see if Damian Lillard would be available? I would. You see, why would you not listen? Why would you not at least have the conversations, Broussard?
I'll listen if Rob Pelinka calls me and offers LeBron James. I'll listen if Milwaukee calls me and offers Giannis. Otherwise, I'm hanging up the phone. I don't even want to talk to you. Nick, this is crazy. So I'm going to punt on this season. All right?
I don't think it's punting on this
I've
season.
already punted on I punted on the first year Durant was there, and Kyrie was only played 20 games. Durant was hurt. Last year, they fell short. Injuries hurt them. Now I'm going to punt on this year. Trading James Harden now, because I can get Damian Lillard if I want him, and if that trade is available, I can get him in the offseason. I can get Ben Simmons and Maxey and whoever else they're going to throw into that deal in the offseason. I am not. James Harden is the only superstar in Brooklyn I can count on to play. And even he sat out last night. I mean, Kyrie, we know his situation. Kevin Durant's hurt half the time. There is no way, Nick, the Nets are playing this absolutely, positively right. I don't debate your contention that this could be Harden's last year in Brooklyn. But here's the thing. You said it yesterday, and you know the cap situation, so I'm surprised you're going there. Where is he going as a free agent? James Harden gonna walk into the net and say,
trade.
I'm out of here. You can lose me for nothing. Okay, James, go ahead. Go to Orlando. Play with Wilds' favorite team. See how you like that.
Yeah.
Oh, go to San Antonio.
Those are the only 3 teams.
Yeah, how you going to like playing down there with Pop?
Teams.
Detroit, San Antonio, and Orlando. You have no leverage, and you said it, Nick. It has to be a sign and trade. That's why James Harden is giving the Nets the impression, which the story said, that he might stay because he understands the landscape. Yeah, I think he would look at Philadelphia favorably. He should. Mm-hmm. But what if the Nets don't want to play ball? Huh? What if Kyrie, the vax mandate is lifted as far as him being able to play? And Durant and Kyrie sit there, come on, man. This is it. We finally got everybody together. And there is no way, Nick, they should be thinking about trading James Harden right now. He doesn't have the leverage in the offseason to just walk.
That part's true. He's not just going to walk. But I do think you could get slightly more now than you could in the offseason. But Wilds, here's why I disagree with Broussard punting on the season thing. Like, we all agree, if Durant's not available, they're screwed either way. So let's just assume Durant's going to be available for the playoffs.
Sure.
Right? If you have Kevin Durant on your team, and I guess Kyrie Irving half the time, if you have a decent supporting cast, you're a contender. Like, are the Sixers a contender with Embiid playing the level he is? They are. At least a fringe contender. Like, then we have no contenders? Like, who is it? If Durant plus a decent supporting cast, which you would either have a bunch of good role players or a different level of star than Harden if you traded Harden. Like, how is that punting on the season? Durant was playing like he was one of the 2 best players in basketball before he got hurt. Like, that's supposed to be good enough to be a contender almost no matter what your cast around you is, Wild.
Let me spin it forward for Broussard. Broussard, if I had a Back to the Future sports almanac and I went into the future and I said, you know what, Broussard? Turns out the Nets didn't win the championship. Too much dysfunction, too much other stuff going on, not really a lot of chemistry, not a lot of team unity, which I think is actually happening. I think it's wildly alarming that Harden doesn't like Steve Nash, thinks that he got sold a bill of goods and he's only played 29 games with Kyrie Irving and doesn't like living in the best city in the world. That's a cause for concern. So if I went into the future and said, you know what, the Nets don't win it this year, would that change your mind about trading Harden sooner rather than waiting for the offseason?
No, not at all. Because I can trade him in the offseason. No.
Okay.
I'm keeping James Harden. James Harden, even in a down year, what we all consider a down year, is 23 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. He's better than Damian Lillard. And the things you just said, Wilds, dysfunction, lack of unity, lack of chemistry. You think bringing in Damian Lillard in late February is going to bring chemistry? And no slight on Dame, but I'm just
together.
They already don't get to play together. Now I'm going to bring in a new superstar, and it's harder to work superstars in than it is role players. Nick, you're right. If you got Durant and Kyrie part-time, yeah, you're a good team. You're in the hunt. But if you add Harden to that mix, in the East where Chicago's banged up, where Milwaukee's not playing that well, where Philadelphia doesn't have its second best player, where Miami is Miami, they're pretty good, right? They're feisty. They're edgy. They got a chance to win an Eastern Conference that's wide open with a better. The Cavs are young. They're too young. They have a better chance of doing it with James Harden than anybody else out there not named LeBron or Giannis or something that's unrealistic. So, no, I'm not even answering the phone.
By the way, speaking of the Cavs, I didn't include this. Maybe Harden, Kevin Love, because we know the best player in the world plus Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, you win the title. KD's supposed to be the best player in the world. Just something to think about. Just telling you, we saw it happen. Now, just real quick, here's the thing. You're talking about Harden's numbers. Harden, I think we all agree there is real cause for concern this year especially of how good Harden is actually going to become the postseason. Because while the NBA said they were going to, crack down on the jabroni basketball, the fake fouls, they've gone back to their old ways for the most part. But we saw what he looked like at the beginning of the year when they were really cracking down on it. One would imagine they will crack down on it again come the postseason. Harden already has a playoff history littered with postseason underachievement. So if you're asking me, and again, I don't know that this trade exists, but if I could do Harden for Dame, do I think that helps the Nets' title chances? Unequivocally, absolutely yes. I know Dame is showing up come the postseason. I know it. There is no doubt in my mind. So I think there is real concern there, Broussard, that you're taking for granted.
First of all, I don't think Portland would do that because if they trade Dame, it's to go young. All right, it's not to get another veteran in there that you're not going to win the championship with anyway. All right, secondly, I think Damian and Kyrie would be a harder mix than Harden and Kyrie because Dame's not the playmaker that Harden is. And here's the big thing, Nick, and you keep talking about Harden's struggles in the postseason, and he has struggled, there's no doubt. I think that was one of the draws to Brooklyn for Harden. And it might be, if he stays, it might be the main reason why. Does Harden want that pressure in the postseason? He doesn't look like it when he was in Houston. And when he looks at Brooklyn, he says, you know what? I don't have to take the big shot when I'm in Brooklyn in the playoffs. We got KD to do that. We got Kyrie to do that. All I have to do is run the show, throw some lobs. That's the question if he goes to Philly, Nick, and I think it would be a good move, he gonna have to step up in the playoffs. Because then it's just him and Embiid. And if he wants to sit back and let two other superstars do it in the postseason, then he can stay in Brooklyn. If he wants to step up and show that he can do it, which he hadn't done yet, then Philly is the place.
No. The biggest draw to Brooklyn was obviously Grimaldi's 2007's Pizza of the Year. I don't know what you're talking about, all this basketball nonsense. Back talking Patrick Mahomes. Broussard, thank you, Grimaldi's. Broussard breaking out the Bud list. Where will Mahomes rank on the Conference Championship edition? We find out next. First things first.
If he's on the
time for Chris Broussard's Under Duress list after one of the most epic football weekends ever. Championship Sunday is quickly approaching. Reminder, start roasting your kale about 14 minutes before kickoff for the crispiest, crunchiest taste. 4 quarterbacks, 4 teams. Then you are not coming over here again, Kevin Wildes. 4 QBs, 4 teams playing for a trip to SoFi for Super Bowl 56. Just kidding. Open invitation. Chris Broussard, who are the 5 guys you have under duress on Championship Sunday?
Well, Nick, I'm sorry, number 5 is a Chief. Chris Jones. Gotcha. But he's a Chief. Defensive tackle Chris Jones. Look, wasn't it 2 summers ago when Jones went LeBron? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. He said the Chiefs were going to win 5+ Super Bowls. Well, Chris, you better get moving on that. All right, you need to win 1 this year if you're going to win 6 Super Bowls. So get going, and there's no excuse. That offensive line for Cincinnati is beyond leaky. 9 sacks they allowed last week against Tennessee. You are the Chiefs' best sack man. You had 2 against Cincinnati in the regular season matchup. Get to the quarterback, because if you don't, Joe Burrow could run roughshod over your secondary. So he's under duress. You talk with your mouth. You talk loud. Now you got to play loud on Sunday. All right, at number 4, Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, now look, Jimmy Garoppolo is by far the worst quarterback remaining in the playoffs. So in a sense, you could say, well, he's playing with house money, right? Yeah, he is to a degree. However, here's the thing about Jimmy G. He is not only playing to win this game, he's playing for his next employer. Like, we all know the plan is to get rid of Jimmy G this offseason and go with Trey Lance. But what if he leads him to the Super Bowl? What if he wins the Super Bowl? Are you still moving on from Jimmy G? Maybe not. But even if they do move on from you, Jimmy, if you play well, one of those top teams out there that doesn't get Aaron Rodgers, Denver, Pittsburgh, a good landing spot will look at you like that's our guy. That's the answer to our prayers. So Jimmy G, you're playing to impress your next employer. You're under duress. Number 3, okay, I'm serious this time, Nick. Who's going to finish the show for Nick? Because it's your boy, 13 seconds himself, Patrick Mahomes. And I get it. Look, he is the best quarterback in the league. He's coming off a historic performance. But Nick, this is all about expectations. This is all about what the stakes are, what we expect from you. I've called Mahomes Jordan-esque. So have some others. I've said he's got GOAT potential. So have you. Heck, you said a few days ago he's the best football player we've ever seen. Well, the best football player of all time can't follow up that tremendous game last week with an L. He's another one. If he's going to be the GOAT, Nick, he's got to win a bunch, a boatload of Super Bowls. It's time to get moving on it. It's time to get moving on these Super Bowl wins, Patrick Mahomes.
All right,
so he is definitely, Nick, he's got one. He's got one. He's got to get to 6 at least. All right, so he's under duress.
He's got to get
Number
to 6
2,
I'm going to...
Sean McVay. Yeah, I said it. Sean McVay. Similar to Mahomes, he is the golden boy. He's set. He's great no matter whether they win or lose. We get that. But a few years ago, he was christened the golden boy for the way he's turned the Rams around, and understandably so. But if you're the NFL's golden boy coach, you can't be losing to another young coach every single time you face him. And Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco has McVay's number. He's beaten him 6 straight times, including twice this year. All right, McVay has got to get over this hump if he wants to live up to the potential everybody thinks he has and win that Super Bowl for the Rams. So Sean McVay, you're under duress as well. And number 1, we're staying in LA. Matthew Stafford. Look, Nick and Wiles, you can crown him if you want. All right, but I am not going to crown him just yet. Yes, he has silenced the doubters, including myself, as to whether or not he could play well in big games. But he has not yet justified a trade in which you gave up a 2-time Pro Bowl quarterback who got you to the Super Bowl, 2 first-round picks, and a 3rd-round pick. You got to get us to the big game, my man. You got to do it. And especially when you're facing an inferior quarterback. You've got the best defensive player of this generation. You got the best cornerback, arguably, in the league. You've got arguably the best receivers in the league. You got a nice, strong running game now and a good coach. What's the excuse? This isn't Detroit anymore. Get it done against an inferior QB, Matthew Stafford. You are under duress.
All right.
That's just,
listen.
What are you going to say? Mic drop.
What am I going to say?
Mic
Having
drop.
Mahomes
Real talk. Mic drop.
ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo on the under duress list might be the
expectation.
It is ranks up there with the arguments I was having online last night, where folks were arguing they would take Nikola Jokic over Giannis to start a franchise. It is so ridiculous, it doesn't warrant a response. So I'm not going to respond to that. Instead, I'm going to talk about a group of people that are under duress, and that is the Bengals offensive line. Because the Bengals offensive line gave up 9 sacks this week. The Bengals offensive line is facing a Chiefs team that, while they scored a bunch of points, they got to Joe Burrow 4 times in their most recent game. And here's a little wild. You should bet this now that you're a degenerate gambler like me. Go ahead and bet on this. See if you can get Fox Bet to make you this line. On this exact statement being said by Jim Nantz somewhere early in the first half. My goodness. Frank Clark has tied Reggie White for the 4th most playoff sacks ever. Frank Clark, right now, 5th all-time playoff sacks. 1 away from Reggie White. He's getting that one. He's 2 away from passing Terrell Suggs. He might get that one. Will he get the 5.5 he needs to tie Willie McGinnis for the most ever? Probably not. But Bruce Smith, you're next. Frank Clark, Chris Jones are going to really give this Bengals offensive line trouble. So much so, Wilds. You know who's not on this list but could be under a little bit of duress? Brandon Allen. Because if you're really thinking long-term for the Bengals' future, I think this might be a Brandon Allen appearance game. Like Joey B, we're down by 28. He's the Bengals' backup quarterback, if people don't know. We're down by 28. It's not going to be our year this year. Let's get Brandon some reps. Let's get him some experience just in case. So the Bengals offensive line is under more duress this week than anybody in football.
It's a fair take. I don't know when I was supposed to end the betting of the paragraph, like down to like, hey, Wilds?
Oh.
Like, I guess so. All right.
Oh.
I'm opening up the aperture a little bit, breaking the rules a little bit. Being a maverick of the Bud list.
Again?
The Elon Musk of the Bud list. Not playing by the rules. I'm putting Michael Thomas on. Here's why. Other big news here is that Sean Payton left. And all of the Saints players went on social media and said, you know what? Congratulations. Thank you for making me a better player. Like, it was just very nice. At the same time, if I was Michael Thomas, former Offensive Player of the Year, mowed a bunch of money, my team's $73 million over the cap, I got to be thinking, oof, my current team has no coach, no quarterback. We're in a rough spot here. I should start looking around. I think that's a little bit stressful. So it's not the Saints jersey, though, he's got on right now. I just like, it's not an indictment. It's an inspiration. I try to come with solutions to the Bud list. So, Michael Thomas, if you wanted to, resurrect your career with a nice offensive mind, with a young quarterback where you could go in and be the number one guy, just think about it. Think with hooking up. You already had a great all-time coach. Think about going up with the GOAT. Go to coaches.
Belichick's obviously happy about it. Look at him.
Come with the baby GOAT. Go to coaches. Michael Thomas on the Bud list. Little Patriots special edition of the Bud list, Broussard, for Championship Weekend. We're still in the news. Patriots are still in the news.
Sure. That's a nice little story, Wilds, but I'm insulted now. You guys are just flouting the Bud list rules. I mean, Nick, do I come up here and just go all rebellious on the tiers? I kind of do, but I don't break your rules. I don't break your rules, though. I mean, y'all, look, the offensive line for the Chiefs is for the Bengals is absolutely under duress. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But it's not within the rules. It's individuals. It's coaches. It's players.
Well, they could have been 1 through 5. Left tackle to right tackle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I mean, you know what? Let's just put a franchise. The Bengals need this Super Bowl. All right? They need one. All right, so let's throw the whole franchise on there. And Wilds, I mean, if you're going to break the rules, could you at least keep it to the 4 teams that are playing? I mean, at least Nick had the decency to do that. I mean, I don't even know what aperture means, but I don't like it. I don't like it in this context, all right? So, Michael Thomas, I don't know what, sure. I know he's upset he doesn't have a quarterback. Okay, how about getting on the field first? Let's get him on the field, all right? Jenna, I'm
more reasons to be on the Bud list.
I'm done.
All right. That was great. I'm just going to move along quietly and peacefully. Nick's got to hand out some NBA medals. This will go better. Nuggets, Nets last night in Brooklyn. Another big night for Nick's favorite player, Nikola Jokic. 26-10-8, Nick. And Denver won, but Nick needs more from Jokic to give him a medal, clearly. Which 3 guys did it better last night, Nick?
Yeah, shout out to Jokic. He was able to carry his team with a second-half rally past Kessler, Edwards, and DeAndre Bembry. It was touch and go for a minute there when LaMarcus Aldridge was giving you all that work in the first half. But good job, Jokic. Just missed the cut. Bronze medal. LaMelo Ball. Nice trip dub for LaMelo Ball. Not going to make the All-Star team, I don't think. But it certainly would be more fun if he did. Also, his team just scored 158 points. Kind of all-star game-esque. Silver medal. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment. Wild's best take. Ja Morant. Ja Morant, who, by the way, when I'm listing players, I would rather have than Nikola Jokic to start a franchise. Giannis is the unanimous number 1. Is Ja Morant number 2? Let's think about it. Is he ahead of LeBron? How much time does he have left? 41, 5, and 8 for Ja Morant. So why did he not get the gold? Who got the gold? Oh, Devin Booker. That's another guy start a franchise. 43 and 12 in a win over Wild's Jazz. Here's a take. Jazz, you are never going to be anything but a regular season team until you get rid of this court. You know what? Go back to the court with the mountains, the little kind of teal on it that you had with Stockton and Malone. This court, it's just an abomination. And by the way, you know what? Change your name to Jazz. I know that's an old take, but it's a correct take. Call yourselves the Utah Salt Lakes. and get it going. Or, trade names. Whatever it is, good job, Booker.
The mountains,
Gold
the
medal.
skiers. Yeah.
A lot of
Something,
names.
I don't know.
A lot.
It's not New Orleans.
All right, let's get back to some football. That guy, Jimmy G, does he need to play hero ball Sunday to pull off the upset in LA? That's the question. We got Coach Mangini here with the answer after a short break. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. First things first, your average Thursday morning is about to be above average because we got Coach Mangini here to deliver the game plan.
Nice.
Happy above average Thursday to you, Coach. The bar is medium high. Talking Jimmy G. We're at a weird crossroads for Garoppolo, aren't we? A loss Sunday could be the last time we see him suit up as a Niner, but with a win, he'd have San Francisco win the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. And then what? As my dad always says, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, daughter. So, Coach, what is the game plan for Jimmy G to upset the Rams so we can cross that bridge?
Jenna, I really appreciate you setting the bar at a medium level so that I could potentially cross it. That was nice of you. Maybe you could set it at a really low. Yeah, set it at a low level so I can definitely exceed it at some point. Look, the game plan, I think there's 3 key points that or 3 key things that San Francisco can do. And the first one is go back to the game plan that they used the first time they played him this season. And I know Nick will hate this idea, but Kyle Shanahan went into the game. He told the players, we're going to run the ball 40 times. And they ended up running the ball 44 times. And what did that translate into? They won it 31-10. They had 39 minutes time of possession. And Jimmy Garoppolo only had to throw the ball 19 times. He had 15 completions, 2 touchdowns, and 141 quarterback rating. And it wasn't even like they were running the ball that well during the game. It was a 3.5 yards a carry. But it was methodical, long drives, and they completely controlled everything that happened. So that's the first thing I'd suggest. The second thing is when they do have to pass, is think protection first. Think protection first. We know about the Rams' defensive line. We know about their stars. We get that aspect of it. When you look at the second game they played this season, what was the problem? The problem was quarterback pressure on both the interceptions, including the interception in the red zone when the game was tied 17-17, where they're in an empty formation and 5-man protection. You've got to, when you're dropping back to pass, use the backs, use the tight ends, chip, slow them down, and give Garoppolo the best chance to have a clean pocket. And then the third thing is no hero ball from Jimmy G. We can't have this. It's about getting the ball out on time. If it's not there, you throw it away. Step up in the pocket and take calculated risks. He's good at that, and he's effective at that. And let me show you what I'm talking about in terms of both the second and the third point. So this is a situation where it's late it's 4th and 5. They're obviously going to pass an empty set. The Rams are going to bring 5 because they want to isolate the offensive lineman one-on-one. And over here to the tight end side, they're in straight man-to-man coverage. And to the bunch side, they're going to play a combination coverage, what's called box. So the slot corner has first outside short, the linebacker has first inside short, the corner has first outside deep, the safety has first inside deep. However those 3 players unfold. On the snap of the ball, thinking protection first, they actually use Kittle to help with the protection, so it ends up as a 6-man protection. Now, on the right side, we've got a speed out. That's going to take out the slot corner, the short outside guy. Then you're going to get a corner route. That's going to take care of the corner, who's got deep outside. And now they're going to take Deebo Samuel, and they're going to run him on an inside breaking route, which is going to be above the linebacker depth, but in front of the safety. Now remember, Kittle blocked, so it frees up the backside safety, so he can actually be involved in this play. Now the ball's released. The ball is in the air, and look at the relationship with Samuel. He hasn't even crossed the linebacker's path, but Garoppolo knows that he's going to be able to cross his path, and that he's behind him, and he's going to be in front of the deep safety, and this ball can be away from the backside safety. It's a really good job of reading the coverage, understanding where the weakness is, and then delivering a really nicely placed, catchable ball in between what looks like really tight coverage. But this is understanding the coverage and taking advantage of it, and then Samuel does the rest. And they've done a great job of catch and run against the Rams and breaking tackles against the Rams. So he doesn't have to be a make something happen guy. He just has to do the things that he does really well in this game.
All right, it's a couple things, Coach. First of all, I do not hate when the Niners run the ball. I love when they run the ball. I like efficient football. You think I hate running the football? I like efficient football. For most teams, that means throw much more than you run. For the Niners and the Shanahan offense with that quarterback, running the ball is a great option. They should do it as much as possible. So I just want to make that clear. I was going to ask you about the McVay-Shanahan thing because they work together, and now Shanahan has won 6 in a row. But that play was too interesting to me, so I actually want to dig down on that. Because I knew what was going to happen because I had watched the clip beforehand, and I'd seen the game. I still was nervous. I'm like, oh, my God, how many Jimmy G picks do we see in this exact spot where he trusts, I can make that throw. Middle of the field, guy's not even open yet. I'm Jimmy bleeping Garoppolo. And it's picked or it's tipped up in the air. Like, there is an element of when he is so consistently makes the critical error that doesn't even a play like that make you nervous if you're a Niners fan? That he had to make the perfect throw in that spot, and he happened to there. But that's where I think he gets himself in trouble, is believing he can consistently do that, and consistently he cannot, Coach.
Well, I see it a little bit differently. He's a smart guy. He understands coverage. He throws a good ball. He throws a catchable ball. And this is one of those situations where, looking at it pre-snap, he understood the way the coverage was going to unfold, and even the fact that the backside safety was going to free up. And when you've got Samuel working against a linebacker, even though he's even, there's a saying in football: if you're even, you're leaving for the receivers. So he knows that he's going to clear the linebacker. And the safety's got so much depth, the front side safety, that he doesn't really have a chance to come down and make that play. So I like this, and it plays to his strength of understanding what coverages are. Where he gets in trouble is when he's moving around the pocket, when he's trying to make Mahomes type plays. That's not who he is. That's not. You don't want to be a make something happen quarterback when the majority of the time what you make happen is bad.
So what you're saying, Coach, is Jimmy G is nowhere near as bad as Nick says he is. I like that. I like that because all he does is win. All right, so since Nick didn't go here, I'll go here. We know that the Niners have owned the Rams lately. 6 straight wins, 2 wins this season. Jimmy G's played in a lot of those games, obviously. They've pushed the Rams around, in a lot of these games, too. Just been too physical for them. But the Rams' defense has looked a lot better in the playoffs, so it'll be interesting to see if they've, come a long enough way where they can really take the physical battle to the 49ers. But I want to ask you, if you're a coach in that situation where you've lost to a team, or even on the flip side, too, if you've beaten the team 6 straight times, what do you say to your team so that if you're on the winning side, you don't take them lightly, and if you're on the losing side, you're not, this is too strong a word, but demoralized into thinking, man, what do we have to do to beat this team?
Well, let me address the first thing about Jimmy Garoppolo, and all he does is win. Over the last 4 games, he's thrown 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Each successive game, his quarterback rating, his completion percentage have gone down. Each game, those numbers have gone down as we've moved through the season. So I think that narrative can be a little bit misleading, Chris. When you talk about winning and losing and records and streaks against teams, it's a lot like the stock market. As much as you think a stock is always going to operate at the same level, you always have the disclaimer: past performance doesn't predict future performance. And it's the same thing with games. And the way that the Rams are constructed, it's a team of stars. This is where those stars have got to shine. And it's the best time in the world to coach a team of stars because everybody's so dialed in. I don't think that what happened during the season should carry over. And if anything, it should harden the resolve of the Rams to make sure that this pattern stops.
On Sunday, the NFC Championship presented by Intuit TurboTax Live is on Fox with a clash between division rivals as Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers take on Matthew Stafford and the Rams for a trip to Super Bowl 56. It all kicks off 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. All right, can we talk some Aaron Rodgers? We're putting his future in focus now. There's a new twist this morning to the story. The Denver Broncos reportedly hiring Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett to be their next head coach, which is leading some to believe Rodgers could potentially join him out there in Denver. Fox Bet has the Broncos as the favorites to land Rodgers if he is to leave Green Bay. Broussard, I'll start with you. Is Rodgers Denver bound with Hackett as their new head coach?
Well, Jenna, it certainly makes sense. All right, it makes all the sense in the world because if he goes to Denver, they got a nice receiving core, Cortland Sutton and the guys, Javonte Williams, I love him in the backfield. They got a great running game, the great defense. You'd have a coach who presumably would run is something very similar, if not exactly like they run in these last 2 years where Rodgers have won the MVP award. And then there's even speculation they try to bring Devontae Adams in. So Denver would be great. All right, I like Pittsburgh as well. We talked about that yesterday for Rodgers. But here's the one thing. Does going to Denver give Aaron Rodgers a better chance of winning the Super Bowl or getting there than staying in Green Bay? Because at this point, look, it's not about having another 4,500-yard passing season. It's not even about winning another MVP award for Aaron Rodgers. The one thing he can do to increase his legacy and get the critics off his back is win a Super Bowl. Even if he plays poorly en route to doing it, he needs to win a Super Bowl. And I do think staying in Green Bay, which maybe won't be quite as stacked as if he goes to Denver, does give him a better path, though, Nick, because maybe Tom Brady's already gone. And if he isn't, what weapons is he going to have next year in Tampa Bay? You don't have as much to go through in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl as you would in the AFC. Just in your freaking division, you got Patrick Mahomes, who's better than Rodgers, and Justin Herbert, who's on the come up. And then you got Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, all just to get to the Super Bowl. The path is much easier if he stays in Green Bay, assuming they bring back Devontae Adams, Nick.
Yeah, listen, I understand why people are drawing these connections. Denver needs a quarterback. Now they have Packers offensive coordinator potentially as their head coach, so it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense for Rodgers. I think you guys talked about it yesterday. I think the Steelers make far more sense. I think the Steelers, we know Mike Tomlin's a good coach. You have no idea if Nathaniel Hackett's good. He can be a good offensive coordinator, not a great head coach. It's a total unknown. It would become, if Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in a division, then it's the greatest quarterbacking division ever. So that part would be interesting. But having to go 6 games a year against Carr, Herbert, Mahomes versus 6 games a year against Goff, whoever the Bears were trotting out on a week-by-week basis, and Kirk Cousins is going from rookie difficulty to all Madden difficulty. And I don't know if Rodgers, why he would want to do that. And Wilds, I think of us on the show, you have the highest regard for Aaron Rodgers' playing ability at this point. I think he took a much bigger step back in Broussard, in my mind, from that playoff game than he did yours. But if Aaron Rodgers, just for the record, is a Chiefs fan, Aaron Rodgers, welcome to come to Denver. Like, I invite it. Because I am not scared of Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. Not. Why would I be?
That's fair.
Why would I be?
That's fair.
Just tell me. What? The last time Aaron Rodgers Mahomes was a sophomore in high school playing baseball. The last time Aaron Rodgers went on a good playoff, like a great playoff run. Like, so yeah, he can come. I'm not certain it makes the Broncos an instant title contender. No.
Okay, I do.
Go ahead.
I think it's very similar to Tom Brady going to Tampa. Contender. Yeah, 100%. And Tom Brady had to go against Drew Brees and the Saints. And what happened in the regular season? Loss. But when it came down to the playoffs, Tom Brady was able to win. If I were you as a Chiefs fan, Nick, I would be terrified of having Aaron Rodgers in the division. Aaron, you should be terrified of Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, don't get me wrong, has a strong arm, makes some good throws. They didn't make the playoffs, okay? Mac Jones made the playoffs. Justin Herbert did not. So let's stop talking about how great Justin Herbert is and how he's better than Aaron Rodgers before he can, make the playoffs. I'm sorry. You should be nervous if Aaron Rodgers decides to come to your division. And it's silly that you're not.
No, but it's don't you see the Saints thing? I'm not saying the Broncos wouldn't be a harder regular season game, but in that comparison, Wilds, the Mahomes is Brady. Mahomes is the guy that, okay, beat me in the regular season, I'll kick your ass in the playoffs. What are we talking about? The idea that I'm honestly and is there not an element for Rodgers that buy what? Tell me, you're not ready to buy what?
By Rodgers is an infamous choker in the playoffs. I'm just not ready to co-sign that narrative. I know the stats. I know Jimmy G beat him. I get it. 49ers.
It's only 10 years.
I'm just not ready to co-sign that narrative.
Go ahead. Wilds, look. I do think if he goes to Denver, and I think Nick would agree with this, they're a contender. They're not the number one contender. They're not the best team in that division. That's Kansas City, obviously. But they are certainly a contender and a threat. There's no doubt about that. But Wilds, I don't see how, comparing it to Brady going to Tampa, no. Because Brady had a history that is the direct opposite of Aaron Rodgers. Brady gets it done in the playoffs. Brady, and a lot of it's the intangibles. Brady is a leader. Brady galvanizes the locker room. Just having Tom Brady makes guys believe in themselves and their team's chance to win it. Rodgers doesn't do that. Okay. What is the excuse? Why didn't Green Bay win this year? The last 3 years. Rodgers, a lot of it's on Rodgers.
They scored one touchdown, Wilds.
You want him to be the punter?
They scored one touchdown.
I get it, but that's not why they lost.
It's time to look in the mirror for Aaron Rodgers. That is why they lost. It really is.
I just screamed. That literally is why they lost. The blocked punt tied the game.
No, yes.
Okay,
okay. Don't get your punt blocked. What do you want to do? Be on special teams too?
How about convert the first down after the blocked punt and win the game?
He'd be under duress every weekend. Oh, speaking of that, let's talk some Patrick Mahomes. Broussard is breaking out his list, and I bet Mahomes is on it. Where will he rank on the conference championship edition? That's next. First things first, talking the NFC title game, and we are focusing on Jimmy G. All the guy does is win. His Niners have beaten the Rams the last 6 times these two teams have matched up. So with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line this time, Broussard, what is the more likely outcome? Jimmy G carries the Niners to a win, or Jimmy G is the reason they lose?
Look, I get it. Jimmy G, I said it the other day. It's an anxiety-riddled experience watching Jimmy G play quarterback. All right, he made some throws against the Packers on the sidelines that could have been 2 or 3 pick sixes. All right, I get it. And he's obviously thrown his share of interceptions in the postseason. But to me, this answer is obviously that he leads them to victory. Period. Because we've easily, and I do mean lead, Nick.
I love it.
Because Jimmy G has comeback wins galore. He's not a top 10 quarterback in the league, right? But he's top 10 in the last 3 years in comeback victories, in game-winning drives.
How many of those games are they losing because of his malfeasance?
All I have to do is go back a few weeks to the same team that they're facing this weekend. And Jimmy G,
it was his
you're
fault.
right. I think they
were behind.
Right. He had 2 picks. Not his fault, but he had 2 interceptions. All right, I get it. But when push came to shove, when it was crunch time, right? And they're about to miss the playoffs, and he's about to go God knows where next season. He buckles up, he mans up, goes 8 for 10 in the fourth quarter or the last drive of the fourth quarter and overtime, 133 yards and a touchdown to win the game. He's done it time and time again. Need I say Cincinnati, another good team that he had a comeback against. All right, Jimmy G will deliver. And here's the thing, Nick. 4-1 in the playoffs, and you tell me the game. It only happened once that they lost. So did he give away that game? No. He didn't make the throw to Emmanuel Sanders. I give you that in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Okay. But he's not the one that gave up 21 points to Kansas City in the last 9 minutes. Okay, it wasn't Jimmy G's fault that they lost that
in the last
game.
9 minutes. Hold on.
His interception. He had two interceptions. One of them was in the first half. And the second one came at the end of the game when they already were down 11. So his interceptions did not cause. He couldn't make drives. I'll give you that.
But hold on. Wait a second. Stop, guys.
But he wasn't the reason they lost, Nick. He wasn't the reason they lost.
And he's never been the reason they've won a playoff game. He's never been the reason. You are asking him to do something he's never done. He has been bad in every single playoff victory the Niners have had with him. The first one he ever had, he threw 17 passes against the Vikings. The second one he ever had, he threw 8 passes. And this year's playoffs, he's been bad in both games. Guys, if we have a list of touchdown passes thrown this postseason, you know who's ahead of Jimmy G on it? Travis Kelce. Touchdown passes thrown. Travis Kelce ahead of Jimmy G this postseason. That's a true story. Look it up, America. It's first point. Now, let me say all this. I am Wilds.
Yeah.
I might pick the Niners to win. You know my feeling
what is happening?
On when a quarterback. Oh, hold on. Let me try to explain here. Hold on. You know my feeling on when a quarterback who is good but not great is on a streak of great. I feel like, that regression's coming. That's how I feel about Stafford. And you know how I feel about a quarterback who's mediocre but not horrific is on a streak of horrific. The regression in the other way is coming. That's how I feel about Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G might be adequate in this game. And I do think the Niners have a very live chance. But the idea that I can only choose one of two doors, and the doors are Jimmy G is the reason the Niners lose because he can't complete passes because he makes those throws literally with his eyes closed, like we saw him do in the Super Bowl that led to an interception, literally eyes closed to the sideline. I don't want it.
He was blinking.
Or that Jimmy G, for the first time in his playoff career, leads his team to a victory by playing well. Guy's throwing for 130 yards a game in the playoffs, 130 yards per game. Then, of course, he's more likely to be the reason they lose than carry them to a win. He's never done it. You're asking him to do something, Wilds, he's never done.
Okay, I get it. But you could have just admitted that you could see Jimmy G having a good game. Like in January 9th, Jimmy G threw for 316 yards and a touchdown. He did have 2 interceptions against these very Rams. And I know I make a joke out of it, but the Rams' specialty is disrupting a nice pocket passer when the offense has to lean on that passer, and that's how you can disrupt the entire offense. That's what they did to Tom Brady. But Jimmy G kind of just part of a nice system. So look, do I think Jimmy G is going to come in and win this game? Probably not all by himself. But do I think that in his Patriots DNA, he thinks he has to? No. I think Jimmy G has to do his job. Give Kittle a few balls. Give Debo a few balls. Don't make any huge mistakes, they could win this game.
Don't make mistakes.
So, Nick, if he does make this game, we already got one apology this week. Earlier, you apologized to Josh Allen. If Jimmy G wins this game, are we going to have back-to-back
he's on the better team with the better coach, the better offensive line, the better defense. Yes.
Really?
The Niners are better.
I'm not so sure.
Absolutely. The difference between the Niners and the Rams is their quarterbacks. One team has a top 8-9 quarterback. The other team is a 18th or 19th quarterback. That's the difference. So Cooper Kupp is obviously a superstar, but I think you could argue that Deebo Samuel does as much for his team as Cooper Kupp does for his. But I would like to just remind America something real quick, because everyone's going back to the Week 18, what he did on the final drive and in overtime. The 49ers in that game, down 7 with less than 2 minutes left, were punting with Robbie Gould, by the way, because their punter was hurt, from their own end zone. Down 7, season over. If not for the fact that once again, he got bailed out by his supporting cast defense, got a stop, and then Jimmy, played well in the very end of that football game. They were in the position, though, to lose because of how bad he was. So, no, the Niners have proven they can beat teams with better quarterbacks. They just held Aaron Rodgers to 1 touchdown. Which, by the way, is 1 more touchdown than Jimmy G's offense scored in a game where the punt coverage team accounted for more points than he did. So, the Niners can win. They cannot win because of Jimmy Garoppolo. We've never seen it in the playoffs, ever.
All right, Nick. First of all, I got to address your contention that the 49ers are absolutely the better team. And you kind of contradicted it because you said the difference is the quarterback. Yeah, Matthew Stafford is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, no question about it. But if that's the difference, that means at the other places, they're at least equal. All right, and who's got the best defensive player on the field? The Rams. Who's got the best cornerback in the game? The Rams. Who's got the better overall receiving core? The Rams. And the run games are similar. All right, so I would say that the Rams have the better team. The Rams' run game has been very good lately. Their run game is, I'll give you, maybe you give an edge because they go to it a lot more in San Francisco. Like, that's the bulk of their offense. So I'll give them the edge. But the Rams' rush game has been very good. The Rams' rush game has been very good lately. All right, with Sony Michel and Cam Akers. So, but then let me go to Jimmy G. Carrying him. Here's what carrying him or them to victory is to me. It's not him throwing for 357 yards and 4 touchdowns. No, he's not going to do that. But if the game is close, which it's likely to be, and they need to produce a drive or 2 at the end of the game, forget about what he's done the whole game. Jimmy G can deliver. And I think there's a greater chance.
So you think he carried them against the Packers?
Yeah.
Because that's what he did.
Well, they ended up losing that game. You talking about, last week? I thought you were talking about regular season.
I'm saying no, he didn't carry them against the Packers. No, but it was close at the end. Look, he orchestrated the drive.
He wasn't as dominant.
He orchestrated the field goal drive.
He wasn't as dominant in that last drive in this game as he has been in the regular season drives. That's when, the regular season went over the Rams. The game against the Packers that they lost. The game against the Bengals. He was the reason they had those late drives because he was completing all his passes for big yardage. Now, I think he's capable of doing that. So I believe there's a better chance, Wiles, of Jimmy G leading a late drive to win the game than there is of him throwing a bad pick in the waning minutes that cost them the game.
I agree with that. I'll tell you what is undebatable, though, Nick, and this is why I want an apology from you if the 49ers win. It would be more interesting if Jimmy G won. That you would have to say, you know what? Maybe these quarterback wins are a thing. A team kind of cobbled together without a superstar quarterback versus a team that is manufactured like a miniature dream team. We added Stafford, we added Von Miller, we added Odell, we got Cooper Kupp, offensive player here, we got Aaron Donald, we got Jalen Ramsey. I am rooting for Jimmy G and the quarterback. I hope he throws for 140.
It would be the death of quarterback wins.
I would love
Don't you get that? Don't you understand that it's the opposite, Wilds? That if the Niners win this game the way they've won their previous 2 playoff games where they overcome their quarterback, it speaks to the point that quarterback wins are a fake thing, all great quarterbacks win a lot, but winning a lot does not make you a great quarterback.
Like Jimmy G.
Listen, I might pick the Niners.
He's not great. You're right. He's not great, but he's good and he's clutch. He's
we
good
gotta
and he's
go.
clutch.
This was fun. We'll do it again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Undisputed right now.